What up, is Marcus Simple Dads. We have tight end breakouts. Which tight ends this season, according to analytics, according to research, are going to be the breakout candidates, or more likely to break out compared to just saying, hey, I like this player, I think they're going to break out. I mean, we can do that, but I think having some research behind it does help. You're going to see some different statistics graphs so you guys can keep along here. So the first thing is we've done running backs, we've done wide receivers as well. We're going to be doing based off of draft capital. See what the kind of draft capital, and you get the thing. You're going to see it right here. Boom. Round 1 is going to be the most likely, then round 2, then round 3, then round 4. It's like, it's one of those. Draft capital is so important. We see this with running backs. We see this with wide receivers. It's why it is the king of everything. I mean, these NFL teams they pay millions of dollars for these scouts. And then also that gives them a number. Like if they say, "Hey, we're going to give this player a second-round draft capital," then we are going to invest more into that player versus a fourth rounder. It's just that's what the even though if we like that fourth round or more, like I know it's a running back position, but you have the Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones type of thing. It's like, well, we liked Aaron Jones better because we like his talent more, but it doesn't mean the Green Bay Packers are going to. In very, very, very rare cases like that, does that actually happen. But let's go through it. Round 1, I know that was kind of a little detour. Round 1, you can see that the ability to have, this is again the last 20 years, the ability to have a breakout type tight end, and that's top 12 for tight ends, is a 88.9% hit rate. And so we're going to go through even a little new graph here so you guys can see. So 18 have been drafted, and then you have 16 breakouts. This is from 2000 to 2015. I know that there's some players in there that are going to be some questionables lately. And I think that's going to lower down that hit rate, but that's just exactly what this documentation from StatHead had created. And then 12 of 27, 44.4%. 9 of 37, you're talking about 24% and 21%. So, I mean, you're talking about the hit rate for a round 1 tight end is extremely high. And that's why people like the TJ Hawkinsons, the Noah Fants. It's the reason why they love Kyle Pitts. I mean, the ability to have a hit rate of at least a top 12 season is extremely high. Now, top 12 season isn't necessarily super great. I would like to see a top 6 season, honestly, if they did statistics through that, because if you're 11 or 12 tight end, you're probably still not super fantasy relevant. It's cool, but it's not necessarily the end all. It's not being like an RB, like being an RB1 is very important, but if you're RB24, you probably are very up and down through the season, and it's not going to be super useful. But we're going to go through this anyways, and then we'll go through some of the breakouts here. So if you we're going to go by age now. And I think age is one of the most important things, because if you look at the ages here, the 25 is the most, and then 23. And we talk about tight ends being a little bit more delayed. We talk about that compared to even wide receivers being a little bit more delayed. And running backs are almost immediate gratifications. It's like that, again, quick burn. All of a sudden, it's like they're in the NFL, and all of a sudden they burn out. And my wife, who doesn't follow fantasy football nearly as much as I do, it's funny. She was looking through these, and she follows football, but she goes, I don't know some of these running back names. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like you don't know who Breece Hall is. You don't know who Najee Harris is. You don't know who Javonte Williams is, because these players come in, they burn bright for a couple of seasons. A lot of times they leave. But tight ends, I mean, you look at it, it takes a while. Like, it takes a couple of seasons. Like, sometimes you start to get to know their name before they actually become these breakout candidates. 25 years old, that's pretty old. You had some players like Kelsey, Kittle, and even Jimmy Graham that took a little bit. They came into the league a little bit older as well. You see that. You see tight ends that come in at 23. And so we're going to go through, again, what that looks like. And again, here's tight ends breakout by age. You could see 23 and 25 for day 1 tight ends. Day 2, kind of the same thing. Day 3, it's even later. It's 25 and 27. So just know that if you're a day 3 tight end, if you're looking for a round 3, round 4, round 5, round 4, round 5, round 6 tight end, if you're looking for that flyer, it might take a while. And so if you're looking for Brevin Jordan's a perfect example of this. I love Brevin Jordan, but he's a day 3 tight end. So I might be looking at a tight end that breaks out when he's 25 years old, 24, 25 years old. So he might have a couple more seasons. And right now we're talking, oh man, I love Brevin Jordan. He looks good. I want him to be one of my breakouts. But according to analytics, he seems to be less likely of a breakout according to past research compared to maybe some of the other players that we're going to go through. Breakouts by career age and experience. This is where Brevin Jordan actually would fit in because he's just a super young tight end that comes into the league. Year one, doesn't have many breakouts. We know that. Tight end year two, we always hear the 3-year tight end breakout, but year two seems to be, again, the common theme when it comes to wide receivers and tight ends, which I don't know why we keep hearing the tight end, like, year 3 breakout or wide receiver year 3 breakout. Maybe that's because that's the end. Like, if it doesn't happen then, it's not going to happen, or it's going to be very unlikely to happen. You're going to need, like, I'm trying to think of somebody out. You're going to need, like, a Darren Waller, but he's a wide receiver turning into tight end, or a Gary Barnidge. So again, round 2, round 3, or year 2, year 3 is going to be the most important time. And if a tight end doesn't happen within the first 3 years of the league, it's not good. I mean, you're looking at 73.1%, almost 90% happen by year 5. So if it doesn't happen by year 5, which is a long time, but let's just say you have a 21-year-old tight end and they're 26 years old. OJ Howard, we're looking at, Evan Ingram already broke out his rookie year, but you're looking at some of these players that if they're not breaking out by that time, then we're talking about some serious concern and very, very doubtful that's going to happen. And by that time, their worthwhile is going to be probably nothing anyways. Again, you can see tight ends by career year. If they're round 1, it's going to be year 2, year 3. If it's day 2 picks, it's year 2 is going to be the year for you. And then day 3, it's again, takes a little bit more time, usually year 3, breakout year 3, and then 4 or 5, somewhere around there. They just take a little bit more time in age. So just know that. Okay, so the 3 players that I want to talk about, Pat Freiermuth, he follows in tight end 16 in PPR despite having some really low targets. Only averaged 3.3 targets in the first 6 games. He was somebody that could easily be into that top 12. He was tight end 9 in the last half of the season, basically. And so, no Big Ben. The only big problem with Pat Freiermuth is he had a ton of touchdowns, very little yards, and there's tons of mouths to feed. But I could easily see Pat Freiermuth sneaking into that 10, 11, 12 range. That's where I see him. Do I see him being a top 5 tight end? Absolutely not. I just don't see it with the ability of George Pickens and Calvin Austin and Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool and did I say Deontay Johnson? Deontay Johnson. They have so many wide receivers there. And then you have Najee Harris coming out of the backfield, all with a quarterback that is either going to be average or below average likely with either Trubisky or Kenny Pickett rookie year. And we know the statistics with rookie quarterbacks and their targets and stuff. So that is just my favorite. We're just going to say, favorite tight end breakout is Cole Kmet. He was tight end 21 in points per game with PPR, but I hate Jimmy Graham. He just stole all the touchdowns. And you're going to look at what his target share is, and he's going to have, his air yards 16.7%, target share 17.2%, all for a tight end that should be, with statistic-wise, should have been a tight end 12, 11, 10, and he's only going to get better. Justin Fields, yes, that offensive line is absolutely probably horrible. I think Cole Kmet is going to be my favorite tight end, and you can get him for less than Pat Freiermuth. If you look at Pat Freiermuth and Cole Kmet, you can get Cole Kmet for a lot less, and that is who I am targeting. Number 1 tight end breakout, Cole Kmet. I'm on the train. The last one is the guy that fits everything, but I am extremely concerned, and I am actually probably staying away from him in most things, and it is Irv Smith. People are saying he's basically a perfect breakout. You look at they traded pretty much the Vikings traded all their tight ends away so they could have Irv Smith. He was one of the youngest prospects in his class. He's now approaching his 24 age season, but he just has not stayed healthy. He's been constantly hurt. The Vikings don't use the tight end enough. We spread it around to Justin Jefferson. We spread it to Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. I I just think Irv Smith is going to be that guy that's going to be tight end 15, 16, and I think he's just going to be overvalued at that. So I see this as being a tight end 2 year for him. Now, if he shows that he can make a step forward, then maybe his next season, and he has draft capital as well, so but maybe his next season, his 2023 season, might be his breakout season. But I think he needs a season under his belt. I have an Irv Smith helmet, and I love Irv Smith. But I have to be realistic here. I'm a Vikings fan, but I think Irv Smith is one of the most overrated tight ends at this point. Whew. I thought I was going to sneeze and end up being a cough. That was a weird one. So again, those are the 3 tight ends. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Take care.